Hey there, welcome back to my garden. Today is a planting day, and I'm really excited because I have quite a few things I want to get into the ground over the next few days before some weather changes happen and we start getting a bit more rain. I just am thrilled with this little collection that I've made over the last, I don't know, couple of shopping trips. I had a lot of good fall sales that brought home these plants at really great prices, and they're beautiful. So today what I'm going to start with is actually plants that are deer resistant. And several of them are plants that I know to be deer resistant from personal experience and through my parents' experience. They they live in a place where they're up in Washington, and they live in a place where not only are there a lot of deer, but my dad actually has taken it upon himself to feed the deer a lot. So they have deer all through their property. They have about, I think, about 5 acres or so, and there's deer constantly there. And so my mom wanted to plant up a garden in her front yard, and we had to do some research on what would be deer resistant. And these are some of the options that we came up with. And so she's had them in her gardens, and we've literally just watched out the window as the deer just walk on by them. And it's not because they have a bunch of other stuff that they can eat instead of these things. I mean, they will target her roses, they'll jump over her fence, eat her roses, eat her off of her lilac bushes, things like that. So she still has to plant with that in mind, you know, that they will still, even though my dad feeds them each day, they will still attack her plants if she has things that they like. So we were planting up this garden, we looked up some things, we found a few suggestions, and we have seen that they've actually been quite deer resistant. So some of these plants come from that experience, others come from just information that I know that I've had with my own gardens, and then one that I'm going to be planting up came from just loving the plant and then reading on the tag that it's deer resistant. So I'll flip you around and show you the plants that I'm going to be getting in the ground today, and then we'll go get them placed and get started. Okay, so one of the plants that my mom has now planted in abundance that we literally just watched the deer walk right past is a juga. And this one is Burgundy Glow. I just love how it has the variegated leaves, and it has these sweet blooms that are, they're called blue, but they're pretty purpley. And this just creates a beautiful ground cover. It says shade to part shade, but I've actually seen it grown in quite a bit of sun. So that is possible, and it's just a very, very happy, healthy, evergreen ground cover that deer will not touch. So I have several of those that I'm going to be planting in. And I should mention too that these are all going in the lower new no-dig bed. So this, if you probably will recognize if you've seen anything in my garden over any of my garden tours, is Nepeta. I believe this one's not labeled, but I believe it's probably going to be Junior Walker's Low, probably just because that's a really common variety. So I have several of these also, and the deer totally avoid this plant. I think is likely because in addition to the leaves being a little bit soft, you know, textured wise, which they generally don't like, it does have a little bit of a pungent smell. So this one's obviously not in bloom. I should have grabbed this one because this one is in bloom. But you can see it has these sweet stalks that come up, and it is just a repeat bloomer. It takes well to being sheared back. It's really water wise, which is another element that a lot of these plants have that I'm going to be showing you. So this one is a staple in my gardens, and I'm excited to have it in that lower bed because I just probably can't have a garden without catmint in it. So another one that we're going to be working with is actually an evergreen shrub. This is Sunshine Ligustrum, and it really does stay this beautiful chartreusey yellow color, especially if it gets more sun. The brighter it will be. And deer, in my gardens and also on the tag, it says that deer do not like this plant. I'm not really sure why, because the leaves just seem pretty tender and soft, so I'm not really sure why they don't eat this one, but it's said to be a deer resistant plant, and it's pretty hardy, zone 6 to 10. See, it says deer resistance, year-round color. So yeah, I have seen people say that they can get pretty large, but they also do take well to pruning, so I'll probably be doing that in my spaces. But this one I actually picked because I really wanted some of this yellowy foliage in the garden, and I was going to do some Caryopteris, But I really wanted the evergreen option. I didn't want necessarily a plant that was not going to push its leaves until later in the season. Even though this one doesn't bloom and Caryopteris does, I just went with this option because I liked the idea of it being evergreen. All right, so here's another option that I'm working with. This is Agastache or Agastache, however you want to say it, or Hyssop, I believe is another common name for it. I got this one at 50% off, so that was pretty exciting. But this is also a drought-tolerant plant, but because it's part of the mint family, it has the kind of the unique smell. Not not bad for us as far as I'm concerned, but the deer don't like it, so they avoid this plant. I have some in my back garden, which is an area that deer can have easy access to as long as the dogs don't hear them, and they leave this one alone. So it's also a really long bloomer. This one has been severely obviously cut back at the garden center. It's about ready to go dormant, but it blooms for a really long time in the late spring and through the summer. So this one is going to be a really nice addition up there in the front garden. So another plant that, just similar to the Nepeta, that's an absolute staple in my garden are Spirea. And this is one of them that I have several of. This is Gold Mound Spirea. This is just a little gallon container, but these grow so fast that it's really not necessary to get a large can unless you really want one. But these ones these ones in my garden have never been bothered by deer. I have them all throughout, several different places, and the deer leave them alone. So I love these ones because not only is it the bright foliage, but they have a sweet, soft pink flower that blooms really reliably each year, and they respond really well to being cut back. They grow or they bloom on new wood. They bloom on new wood, so they will, if you just even cut them back almost like a perennial, they'll just sprout up and be nice and fresh each year. So I do love Gold Mound. I love most of the varieties that I have, but this one I saw at Al's and it was really on a good sale, so I got 2 of these, and I'll be adding these to that no dig bed down there also. All right, the largest shrub that we are putting in is this beautiful beautyberry. This is actually a variety that's from Proven Winners. It is called Pearl Glam. And the thing that makes this one exciting, other than the fact that it is on their list of deer-resistant plants, is the foliage. Most beautyberries are just green, and then they do come out with some light colored pink flowers, and then of course the beautiful berries that it's named for. But this variety has this lovely purpley, dark purpley foliage since the time that it emerges in the spring. So another nice thing about this one too is that it is a lot smaller than the typical beautyberries. It stays about 2 feet wide by 4 or so feet tall. So it's a lot easier to tuck into beds. But this was one that I didn't realize was actually deer resistant, and then I found it at Al's and I was super excited about it because I love beautyberries, and I had never actually come across a place that had Pearl Glam before. So then when I was reading the tag and it said it was deer resistant, I was even more excited about it. So this one too will be down in the no dig bed, and I think it'll be an awesome addition down there. All right, so with the exception of the beautyberry, I have several of each of these plants, and so I'm going to just move them down there to the lower bed and get them placed. It's a new day. So let me explain to you what happened yesterday. So I came out and I laid out all the plants that I was talking about yesterday that are primarily all the deer resistant plants that I have to put out in this lower no-dig garden bed that I've been working on. And as I was setting them out, I started getting a little frustrated because I knew I had several that I needed to move, plants that I already had planted in. I needed to move them. And then I was realizing like I needed to move plants, I needed to prune plants. Gosh, I need to water these plants that are already in the ground. This area is not looking great. And I just kind of had to pause and realize like I needed to slow down on planting in things and take care of the space first before I planted in more things. So, and then my phone ran out of battery, which is what I make my videos on. Anyway, so I had to go in and charge my phone, and I thought, okay, well, while I'm charging it, I'm going to water, I'm going to move a few things, I'm going to edge the bed, I'm going to enlarge the bed. So kind of one thing ran into another, one thing led to another, and I ended up doing a little bit of extra maintenance in this garden bed down here instead of planting while my phone charged. And then once it was done charging, it was dinner time and all the things. So I thought, well, that's okay. You know, it makes sense. It's kind of like when, for me anyway, if I bring home some new home decor, you know, a new lamp or a new pillow or something like that, I want the space to be nice and clean before I put the element in, you know, the pillow in or whatever. Or if I get a new shirt, I tend to have my closet cleaned up and nicely organized before I put my new shirt into the closet. And I was looking at this garden, I was like, why am I planting in these new plants when it needs definitely some attention before I do that. So anyway, so it's a new day, it's the next day, and I was hoping to get out here to show you this before the sun was shining directly on it, but that didn't work out. So I'll show you what I worked on yesterday. I'll show you where I have the plants laid out that I'm going to plant in today, and yeah, then we'll get those in the ground. So I'll start back here because this is an area where I was really noticing that I needed to fix this edge. This curve right here went in pretty sharp right here, and I didn't like it, and so I had to work on that a little bit. I did cover it in mulch. It's kind of hard to see how much I took out, but it was a considerably sharp curve, and I just wanted it more smooth. So I took after that. I mowed here because it was so overgrown that it was hard to even get a visual on what I was doing. And then over here you can see where it is just the soil. That is where I primarily obviously took out. I mean, that's probably another 2.5 to 3 feet that I kicked out of that garden. Obviously, as you can see, it went in there really sharp and then just kind of came out as a little circular whatever around that maple tree. As I mean, you can see basically what it did by what the mulch is doing here. And I just didn't know why exactly I did that. I mean, it just kind of left a little bit of a circle, kind of almost like hourglass-like of the grass. And I just thought I much preferred it being more of just like a curvy grass path. So even for myself to be able to see it better, I did edge this side over here, which eventually this will be a garden bed as well. Right now it's just basically my mulch pile. So once I edge the whole thing, this will curve out here more and be more defined, and then I'll define that edge. But really right here, I just kind of did it so that I could get a better feel for what's going on over here on the left. So I do have some cardboard that I'm going to cover that with, and then I'm going to cover that with mulch really quick, and then I'm going to get to planting. But I will show you really fast. I think this is where these guys are going to go. These are the 2 gold mount spirea. I did also edge all the way around the back side too, just to give the bed some more definition. But this is where the Pearl Glam Beauty Berry is going to be, I think. And swing over this way. Here we have the 3 Sunshine Ligustrum, and then in front of that are 3 of the Nepeta. Now this area might be a little difficult for me to plant in just because I did just freshly lay down the cardboard here and just mulch over it. So I'll have to probably cut into the cardboard maybe bring down a hose and wet it a little bit so that I can get it out of the way, and then just kind of plant these into the native soil, tuck the cardboard back around, and then remulch it. So that will be fine. I did also move forward the Weigela because it was just about like 2 feet behind there, really close to the pathway for whatever reason. And so I moved that forward, and then I'm going to tuck in the agastache behind there. And here's where the pathway is. And I'll put the ajuga on this side. It's getting a lot of sun right now, but these will actually be quite shaded by midday. So that's, I think, a good spot for those because they are kind of a part sun loving plant. They can handle more sun, I think, than we usually think, but I will want to give them, I think, some afternoon shade. So those will just be tucked in right there behind the hydrangea. And then right here on the point, the path has kind of gotten a little bit messed up, so we can't quite see the definition there, but this Nepeta will just be right here in the corner, kind of just softening this edge. And then on the other side of the path behind here, get my shadow out of the way, here's the 3 other of the ajuga. Might spread those out just a little bit because they will spread out. And so then you can see the agastache is right there. And then right up here, I just have one more of the sunshine ligustrum tucked in right there. And over on this side, another Nepeta, and then another Nepeta right here. I was kind of thinking maybe about moving those 3 of the pink cashmere superbena and transplanting them over to the other side of the garden. So I may still do that. I'm not sure that I'm going to leave them there because that's really pretty tight. The Nepeta will end up, taking up pretty much this whole area once it is in bloom. So another thing that I worked on yesterday was this area. I don't think I quite had realized how steep of an incline this edge of the bed is right here. So these are power poles, and my husband cut them in half. He had a chunk left over from something, so he cut them in half, and I was thinking about using them as steps, but right now they're just kind of holding that side in place. I'm not sure how I'm going to use them. I might lay them down flat, kind of tuck them in, and then use them that way. I'm not entirely sure, but for right now they're just kind of holding the path debris up there. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and lay down the cardboard over there first and get that covered because I want to be able to see that done, and then I will get to getting these plants in the ground. planting, and that took me a while. is always a process for me to get things in the ground, especially when it's kind of a blank slate as this is, and just thinking through colors and heights and all that stuff. I mean, you all know, as you garden, you just got to think about those things. So it took me a minute, and it took me some rearranging of some things, and but yeah, I think I really like where things ended up, and of course, if I don't, then I can move them again. So I'll just turn you around and show you where things ended up and kind of what I'm thinking as I move on from here. All right, so over here, as you can see, obviously I need to finish this path. This was where earlier on I covered this up with the cardboard and covered it with the mulch, and so the path needs to continue on this way. So haven't done that quite yet, but on either side of the path there is where the two gold mound spirea ended up, and so those will just kind of flank this spot. These will get probably 2 feet tall by 2 feet wide-ish, so they'll just fill in those two spots right next to the path. And then on this side is where I put the Pearl Glam Beauty Berry. If you guys listen to the Gardening Simplified show, it's by the Proven Winners Color Choice Shrubs company, I guess. They just featured this plant on their podcast on their fall berries. Anyway, their topic was all about shrubs that have berries in the fall, and this was the plant that they featured in their Plants on Trial. So if you want to know more about this one, that would be a great place to learn more about it. And I just think it's super pretty, and I love that the color contrasts really nicely with the kind of green background that we have on the berm there. I also, it's hard to tell in this perspective, but I moved this viburnum back just a little bit from the path. As I edged back there, I realized I actually had more space on the back side of this bed, so just shifted that guy back just a smidge. On this side, there's 3 of the ajuga lining the path here, and then on the point there is the nepeta, and that will touch this grass. I mean, they're a foot away from each other. The base of the nepeta will kind of stay where it's already at, but the top gets tall and spills out, and so that they'll probably touch, but I think that they're an okay distance away. I was going to put the agastache, whatever, right here, but I felt like it was too similar in a bloom type to this salvia that's right here, and then also the nepeta that's up on the front there. So I think I'm either going to put some sort of an evergreen right here, or maybe some sort of flowering perennial like some asters or something like that, that'll have a different structure of flower. Right here is the Weigela. I did move that forward as well. And right in front of that, you can see everything's watered in, so it looks a little weird, but there's the 3 Sunshine Ligustrum, just kind of curved there, sort of to mimic. Over in that side, I have a little 3, set of 3 in a similar pattern of Caryopteris. So it's kind of similar idea to that. And then there's the 3 Nepeta. And like I said before, I'm pretty sure these are Junior Walker's Low. They weren't labeled, but I'm guessing that's probably what they are. So, and then on this side of the path, there was already some of the pink cashmere Superbena, which I've said before could possibly be a perennial for me here in zone 8B. That will be seen in the spring, see if those come back. But then along this curve underneath this little haughty hydrangea is 3 more of the ajuga. So when you're coming along the path, you'll see them here, and then you will see them over there. So they're kind of like that look there. So over here on this side, I have this vanilla strawberry hydrangea. And as I've told you guys before, in this spot, I'm going to be moving a Flipside Vitex, which has a purple bloom. So I decided to put the Agastache right there because it has a very similar bloom color. You can see that. And I didn't want it right next to the Flipside. So I moved this pink Echinacea, which is the French tip variety, right over here so that it's not, so it's in between the 2 purple flowering plants. And then tucked in right here is another sunshine ligustrum. This will fill in this spot pretty well, and it'll touch the grass, you know, and it will grow over these verbena if they stay and they come back. So that'll be kind of a tight little spot, but I think it'll be okay. And then I can always move this one if I need to, and obviously move that one as well if I need to. So right up here on the other side of these guys are really drying out. It seems like every year when I plant barberries, they shed a lot their first year, but they'll be just fine. But anyways, I took out 3 superbenas that were right here, and I put in one of the Nepeta because it was going to be a lot of pink. I think I commented on that before. So there's the echinacea here that's pink, and then there's another pink echinacea there, and then some more of the superbena. So it'll be nice, I think, to have something purple flowering right here. I kind of wanted to move things forward, but this area up here has the cardboard underneath it, underneath this compost, and it just hasn't broken down yet at all, so it would be really hard to dig through. There were some areas that I dug through over here where the Nepeta and the sunshine ligustrum were, but I had watered over there, and so the cardboard was nice and soft, and I was able to just cut right through that with my shovel. But over here on this part, I tried to dig into it, and the cardboard was just completely bone dry. So anyway, I was kind of thinking of moving forward these superbena, but I'll just have to do that another time, I think. So right then there on the end is just one more of the Nepeta. These are all the same variety, so they'll all just kind of complement each other really nicely, I think. And then, so the 3 superbena that I dug out, I just moved those right over here to the edge of this bed. I think if those survive there, that'll look really nice, kind of spilling out over the rock wall. I just was able to move out this nice big flat rock, which I think will be a nice step right there at the end of that pathway. So yeah, so those are all the plants that I got in today. I do still have a few more to get in, so that'll be another video where I share with you those plants, but all of these ones that I planted in today are labeled as deer resistant. So I can speak to for sure knowing that the ajuga is, the spirea is, the nepeta definitely is, and then Proven Winners says that the beautyberry is as well. So yeah, which is great because I just noticed that there was a deer that came through our yard recently and ate down my roses that were in this front area, which was kind of a bummer. They've never gotten to this front slope here before. This area that's behind me is a little bit more exposed to them, so this spot I really want to be sure to try my best to plant things that they don't like, and then hopefully that doesn't make them come up into my other beds where there is things that they like. But anyway, you can only do so much. So anyways, if you do have a deer problem, I do recommend any of these plants that I planted in today, and I think that the deer will leave them alone. So thanks for hanging out with me today while I got these in the ground and while I reworked the bed and all the things. So thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.